Hello, everybody. Welcome back to another episode of UHS Presents. Today we're doing Critical Affection. Let's crap on a movie we love. And joining me tonight is the lovely Julie. Hi, Julie.
Hello.
And we also have a special guest, and you might know her. She's the artiste extraordinaire, Miss Katie Rooston. Hi, Katie.
Hello.
And today, I'm sure that if you were paying attention in perhaps the Discord channel that we have, which, by the way, we have a UHS Discord, and you should join it. We did decide on a movie, and today we are starting a newly conceived childhood trauma series. So we're going to, all those movies, which, by the way, if you have any that traumatized you as a kid, put them in the comments, because we are doing that now. That's our thing now. And to debut, we've selected, to affectionately criticize tonight, The Never-Ending Story. We didn't. Oh, Katie, we were talking about that too. It's such a obnoxious earworm of a song. The Never-Ending Story.
It's still stuck in my head.
I was showering a while ago, and I'm sure like Jeffrey was like, "Are you okay? Have you gone insane?" Because I was just going, "The Never-Ending Story." To be fair, though, it is a really good song.
Yeah. Hell yeah.
So Paul's here. Hi, Paul. Said hi, Julie and Katie.
Hi.
Hi, Paul.
Paul's the best. So before we start bitching, we do have to do the now I just decided that we always have to do a UHS news review, so that's what we're doing because I'm in charge. Y'all gotta do what I say. I'm gonna drop my shit here. Okay. So the printers, I think, have communicated with Lori that Hot Brass is done being printed. Hot Brass Girls Gold, done being printed, should, be on its way back to Lori. So you guys will get all your stuff for that pretty damn soon. And Surgeon 4 has now gone to the printers, I believe, which I think, again, if you've been paying any attention on our social media, that you probably already knew that. So we also, I know that most everybody knows that Miss Medusa's Monstrous Menagerie is coming in October, and we are going to be running a Kickstarter, a mini Kickstarter. What are those called? Quick starters. Yeah, I'm smart. For the Art of Ian Richardson, the book that he did, which has some amazing shit in it. I know because I got to see it. It's going to be like 150 something pages, and it's going to have all the some stuff that you've never even seen before from Ian Richardson. He's done The Unthinkables, which is our book. He's also done Judge Dredd stuff, Sinister Dexter, Marvel UK, Dark Horse, and Zenoscope. So it's going to be an amazing book. And I don't want to brag, but the cover is going to be fantastic too because I did the graphics on it. Okay, I believe that is everything that we need to know. But if you had any other questions, drop them in the comments and I'll answer them for you. So let's get to it. In case you missed the last episode of Critical Affection or any episode of UHS Presents, they are available to watch on YouTube and Facebook forever. And they are on Twitch for, I believe, 2 weeks. So like the last week's episode is going to be available for another week yet. So you can pop over there and check it out. And those are all in our ads and stuff. So you should be able to find those links pretty quickly, but pretty easily. But if you don't know them, well, I'll just tell you, it's facebook.com/Unlikely Heroes Studios. It is youtube.com/Unlikely Heroes Comics, because we still haven't changed that yet. And it's a whole freaking little adventure why we haven't done that yet. But, and I'm rolling my eyes to say that it's not a fun adventure. But Twitch is actually the one that we want. It's twitch.tv/UH Studios. And that's the one that you should use because Twitch is the best of the three. Just saying. But, if you miss it by 2 weeks, then you do have to go to YouTube. So, whatever. All right. It should go without saying. But if you have not seen The Never-Ending Story, and honestly, at this point, if you haven't, what the hell have you been doing with your life? But if you haven't, then we have to warn you. So now that we got that out of the way, let's get to it. The Neverending Story premiered in U.S. theaters on July 20th, 1984. So I was actually alive then. I think we
I
all were
wasn't.
at that point. You weren't yet? Okay, I thought it was like we all were, I think, maybe, but I guess I was wrong.
86 for me. So
Oh my god, you're just a little baby. I thought you were closer to age and to me, closer in age to me. Oh well. So
oh, wait, was
what? I
Was
was
I?
82. I'm gonna be 39 years old pretty soon. I am old. I'm old.
I don't know, maybe it was. Was it? What did you say? 84 was it?
84 was when, July 20th, 1984, The Neverending Story premiered. Not in the UK. I forgot when it premiered in the UK because honestly, we don't have that many UK viewers. So nobody's asked me for that information, but I would happily write that down. If you want me to tell you it premiered in the UK, I would be glad to tell you all. I just didn't write it down for this one because I didn't. I'm lazy. That's really all it comes to. Is I'm lazy, and I didn't want to. So
It's probably the same.
okay, it has an 80% critical rating and an 81% audience score on Rotten Tomatoes, which that seems right, I guess. Like it's a solid movie. I think it's a pretty solid movie.
Yeah.
I mean, there's actually not like as far as plot holes and continuity, there's not a ton of like really bad stuff, but yeah. So the film stars Barrett Oliver as Bastian, Noah Hathaway as Atreyu, and Tammy Stronach, and I think it's Stronach, or is it Stronach? I think it's Stronach.
I think.
And she's the childlike empress. Alan Oppenheimer is the voice of Falkor, and he is still alive. He was like 1,000 years old in 1984, and he is still with us today. So I want that kind of longevity in life, unless I get like dementia and physical ailments, then just kill me at 65. Just saying. The author, the one little tidbit of info that I found that was kind of interesting was that the author of the book that the movie's based on was originally like super happy that the movie was being made, but he got pissed off about the rewrites because he felt that they totally changed the spirit of the movie or the story, and he wanted them to either fix that so that it was no longer badly rewritten or change the name, and he even sued to change the name, and of course he lost because capitalism, but whatever. So synopsis. Julie's got the synopsis today, so take it away, Julie.
Yeah, she's making me do work. Sorry. All right.
Hardcore.
Okay. 10-year-old Bastian Bucks, the worst name ever, is a shy and outcast bibliophile who lives with his widowed father. One day on his way to school, Bastian is chased by bullies but escapes by hiding in a bookstore, annoying the bookseller, Mr. Coriander. Bastian's interest in books leads him to ask about the one that Coriander is reading, but the bookseller advises against reading it, saying that it is not a safe story like regular books. With his curiosity piqued, Bastian secretly takes the book, titled The Neverending Story. He leaves a nice little note promising to return it and hides in the school's gigantic attic that no school I've ever seen actually has to read the book. The book describes the fantasy world of Fantasia slowly being devoured by a malevolent force called the Nothing. The childlike empress who rules Fantasia has fallen ill, and the young warrior Atreyu is tasked to discover a cure, believing that once the empress is well, the Nothing will no longer be a threat. Atreyu is given a medallion called the Orin, and I have seen in the book, I think as well, some people call it like the Orin, like instead, like AWE, Orin, or whatever, but I don't know. I say Orin, so anyway.
Yeah, the way that it's spelled is really weird, so it's open. It's open for interpretation.
So we're going to say Orin here, that can guide and protect him in the quest. As Atreyu sets out, the Nothing summons a vicious and highly intelligent wolf-like creature named Gamork to kill Atreyu. Atreyu's quest directs him to the giant, turtle-like advisor Morla, the Ancient One in the Swamps of Sadness. Though the Orin protects Atreyu, his beloved horse, Artax, and where I think we're going to spend most of the time in this episode discussing, and he continues on alone. Morla does not have the answers Atreyu seeks, but directs him to the Southern Oracle, 10,000 miles distant. Gamork closes in on Atreyu. Oh Jesus, Sarah, I'm even like messing up reading like you do. Come on, like
I'm glad it's not just me.
okay. Gamork
We shouldn't do it live. That's the problem. We should stop doing it live and start pre-recording, and that way we can edit this shit.
Exactly. Okay, here we go. Gamork closes in as Atreyu succumbs to exhaustion, trying to escape the swamps, but is narrowly saved by the luck dragon Falkor. Falkor takes him to the home of 2 gnomes that live near the gates to the Southern Oracle. Atreyu crosses the first gate, but is perplexed when the second gate, a mirror that shows the viewer's true self, reveals a boy which Bastion recognizes as himself. Atreyu eventually meets the Southern Oracle, who tells him the only way to save the Empress is to find a human child who lives beyond the boundaries of Fantasia to give her a new name. Atreyu and Falkor flee as the Nothing consumes the Southern Oracle. In flight, Atreyu is knocked off from Falkor's back into the Sea of Possibilities, losing the Orin in the process. He wakes on the shore of some abandoned ruins where he finds several murals depicting his adventures, including one of Gamork. Gamork then reveals himself and explains that Fantasia represents humanity's imagination and is thus without boundaries, while the Nothing is a manifestation of the loss of hopes and dreams. Atreyu battles and kills Gamork as the Nothing begins to consume the ruins. Falkor manages to retrieve the Orin and rescue Atreyu. The 2 of them find themselves in a void with only small fragments of Fantasia remaining, fearing that they have failed until they spot the Empress's ivory tower among the fragments. Inside, Atreyu apologizes for failing the Empress, but she assures him he has succeeded in bringing to her a human child who has been following his quest, Bastion. She further explains that just as Bastion is following Atreyu's story, others are following Bastion's, making this part of the never-ending story, and really fucking meta, and probably the first meta thing I ever experienced as a child, I guess, that blew my mind. As the Nothing begins to consume the tower, the Empress explains that Bastion must call out her new name to save Fantasia. However, Bastion, in disbelief that he himself has been incorporated into the story, denies these events as just being a story. He eventually gives in after the Empress pleads directly to Bastion to call out her new name and runs to the window of the attic to call out the name he has chosen, Moonchild.
Oh, we are going to talk about that one. We are going to talk about Moonchild.
Bastion awakes with the Empress, who presents him with a grain of sand, the sole remnant of Fantasia. The Empress tells Bastion that he has the power to bring Fantasia back with his imagination. Bastion recreates Fantasia and flies on Falkor's back to see the land and its inhabitants restored, including Atreyu and Artax. Yay! When Falkor asks what his next wish will be, Bastion brings Falkor to the real world to chase down those goddamn school bullies. In a cliffhanger ending, the film narrates that Bastion has had many more wishes and adventures, but that's another story.
Aww. And I'm kind of sad that the Neverending Story 2 was kind of crap, because that one starred Jonathan Brandis as Bastion, and which one of you? I know I had a massive crush on that guy when I was a kid. Like, who didn't, right?
Yes.
I don't know if I've seen the second one.
You what?
I don't know if I saw the second one.
Oh, don't know. Yeah, I think I saw it once or twice, but it's been a long damn time since I've seen. I mean, until preparing for this episode this morning, I hadn't seen the Neverending Story in 10 years at least.
Yeah.
Paul said, Katie, when are you going to send me a black and red cobbler? Which I assume is a thing that you know what that means.
Oh, the brambles, yeah. I was picking some wild blackberries, and yeah, he saw some pictures of it and really wanted some.
Well, I want some too now. You can't be talking about desserts and not share with everybody.
Might be a bit cold by the time it gets there.
Well, that's fair. So, yeah, that's a good synopsis, and my notes start off with really good opening credits, like fucking banger song, and then just the clouds. And Katie was saying that too. We were talking about it while she was watching it. Katie, what did you watch this like an hour ago? We were just like,
2 hours ago maybe. So.
Yeah, I was like, Katie, do you want to come and do this with us? Because like this is all like childhood trauma stuff, and I know you were traumatized by Watership Down, and we have got to do Watership Down.
Oh no, I wasn't traumatized by Watership Down. No, it was Fern Gully that got me.
Fern Gully. Oh, my bad. Well, Watership Down is traumatizing too, and Reservoir Dogs, like y'all British people has some fucked up shit too. Because I thought it was just America that liked to scare the shit out of the kids, but no, England did too. Totally. Because I didn't see Watership Down until I was much older. Actually, I think you might have been the one that told me to watch it. I'm pretty sure I was an adult. But so when we do Watership Down, you have to be on with us because you were the one who got to experience it in its childhood traumatizing glory. So
I read the book.
Oh, there we go. So I digress. That was my first notes were just really good opening credits. Because I mean, I could have just been like, just with the song and the clouds and been like, that was the movie. We're done. Good. Beautiful. No note. A+.
No, I was just watching it thinking this is going to get stuck in my head again.
Oh, and it did, didn't it?
Yeah.
Yes, it did. So, did you notice, Bastion wakes up and goes downstairs to make himself something to eat for breakfast and his dad is there. Did you pay any attention to the dad? Did you see what he made himself?
No.
My dude put orange juice and a fucking raw egg into that blender and he blended it up and then he drank it that way. What the fuck is that?
Oh my god. I wonder if that was just like, just improvise, just make, breakfast, whatever, and the actor just grabbed whatever was nearby.
That's what I figure it must have been. Is like he just like we weren't meant to pay attention to that, but I was watching him.
Yeah, it's fun.
Maybe diet or something?
I don't know, like protein? I don't know, but like I've never seen anybody put just orange juice and one raw egg. Like he just put like 2 cups of orange juice and a single raw egg into there. Nasty.
I have to go back and watch that part now.
yeah, and see if I missed something because I did not back it. I should have paused it and backed it up, but I didn't. And I was like, "What? Who eats that? That is not the kind of protein shake I've ever seen anybody make ever." So what the hell was that? And
maybe it was some sort of weird fad diet or something, like from the 80s or. Well,
maybe, but shouldn't there have been more stuff in it than just a fucking orange juice and one raw egg?
I don't know. Have you seen some of these diets though? I mean, they're crazy. Some of them.
Yeah, that's fair. That's fair. So, yeah. What was your first notes about the movie, Katie?
I think my first notes was Dad is a bit of a dick.
Dad is a little bit of a dick, but it seems like he's like businessman and like they're both sitting there mourning the loss of the mother in their own way, and so like he's being just distant. That was I was like he's kind of being a dick, but also he wasn't being too much of a dick.
No,
you're like I hope the dad dies in here. So like I wasn't like he wasn't that bad.
It was like I was listening to it. It's like, oh, you're drawing horses in your books. I was like, I used to draw horses in my maths books, and I never used to do my homework on time. And yeah, basically that's probably because I had ADHD rather than like.
Yeah. I think that's what we were both were like. Yeah, I think this kid just has some raging undiagnosed ADHD, and his dad is too wrapped up in mourning about his wife that he didn't notice. Unless this was a response to his mom dying. Like, if he didn't start doing this shit until after his mom died, then it's a mourning thing. He's sad and he's like compensating with imagination and stuff. But they don't. I kind of see him
I see him as a bit of a daydreamer anyway. I think he's always been like that.
Yeah, I mean, he's read a lot of books, and they don't really say when mom died, but he listed off a bunch of books at the booksellers. So he's been reading for a while, so I don't think that's a new thing. Even if he read more after Mom died, he didn't start reading when Mom died. He's been doing it for a while.
Yeah, it almost kind of reminds me of Matilda too. I mean, Matilda was also doing that to escape her family situation.
Mhm.
But she did start out that way too. That was just her interest. So I think
Yeah,
in a lot of ways,
he was
Bastion
into
is
learning.
the same way.
Yeah, and the bullies, like that doesn't just pop up out of nowhere either. He was probably a little weirdo
Oh
for
yeah,
always. Yeah. So like I don't think that the bullying and the book reading, I don't think any of that's new. I think that's all. So he's probably was a bit of a daydreamer, but maybe he was getting fully lost into it after his mom died, and that was his way of coping, and he got too into it, and now his dad's like, your math teacher called and said you're not doing your shit. And
Yeah.
when does the math teacher call? Like every time I got a call home from school, it was like the secretary called and was like, your kids' teachers are saying like the math teacher never called. Yeah, I was like, that was interesting.
Yeah.
Yeah, I didn't think mine ever. It's like you get they speak to your parents evening, but like they don't phone you.
Yeah.
Well, not
Mm.
my school
that's
anyway.
what parent-teacher conferences are for. Like they don't if a specific teacher wants to talk to you outside of parent-teacher conferences, they call you and have you come in for a special meeting. They don't just phone out of the blue like that. That's but I mean that's neither here nor there. I was just like the math teacher called. Like that's weird. Like why would the math teacher call? I mean, this is the weird specificity of who from the school called. So, and the dad said that you got to buckle down and stop daydreaming. And I'm like, the first I was watching him say that, I was like, no, Bastion, don't stop daydreaming. You want to be a weirdo. You were born in the 80s. You definitely want to be a weirdo. Well, he was probably born in the 70s, but you know what I mean.
Yeah.
Like, you want to be weird. You're a millennial. You want to be weird. Or a tail end of the Gen Z or Gen X, whatever the fuck. I don't understand any of that shit. I don't even know. Like, some people tell me that I'm a Gen X and some people tell me I'm a millennial. And I'm like,
who cares?
Why does that even fucking matter?
Yeah.
Do we care? We don't care, do we?
Not really.
So when Bastion, he gets out onto the, he's walking to school, right? How many fucking adults saw these children chasing that 3 large boys chasing Bastion down the street in a crowded fucking street, and he's oh my god, and running in panic, like you see his big eyes and he's panicking, and these kids are literally screaming, we're gonna kill you, weirdo, we're gonna kick your ass, weirdo. Like they said, I like to keep the captions on when I'm watching movies, and one of the captions literally was, I'm gonna kill you, weirdo. So like it wasn't like he was like, there was no question about who was the instigator here. They were attacking him. So how many fucking adults, what did he run by? 30 to 50 adults? Some who were towing children of their own and could have clearly identified the situation and did not do anything to help him.
Nope.
Let him get thrown into a dumpster.
Well, nothing's really
I mean, I understand that helps to set the stage of like Bastion's a dreamer and a weirdo and a loner, but like, really? No adult's gonna help. I mean, maybe was that what we did in the 80s? We were just like watching them and like, he needs to toughen up.
Yeah, pretty much.
I mean, I remember in the 80s, like if I was screwing around, if I was sticking around, like other people's parents, like adults that weren't even my parents, would come and slap me if I was fucking around. Like, so tell me again that in 1984 that didn't happen. Like, really? I don't know if I believe that.
Did either of you notice that when both he and the boys at the end were in the trash can, they came out covered in straw and hay? It's like they're in the middle of a city. Why is there straw in the?
Yeah, and where did it come from? Like, is there a circus around there? Like, it's just a random stable full of horses, a dairy barn. Like, where did the straw come from? But yes, that was an excellent point that I didn't notice until you said that to me, and I was like, well, fuck yeah, they do have straw all over them. What the fuck? I guess, I mean, straw is a good filler, so I guess
Like they couldn't have the like cliche of like the banana peels or something like on their head, you know? It had to be that's an odd choice.
I mean, and it was clearly a large city, at least a semi-large city. Like there would be like street gunk and stuff in
Yeah.
there. It wouldn't just be straw. They weren't on a farm, which Katie, you kind of live on a farm now. I grew up on a farm. I don't remember ever dumping our straw into a dumpster. Do you?
It's not something that happens. No.
Yeah, we put that into the manure spreader and put it back out onto the fields to be compost, to be fertilizer for the plants. We didn't.
Or just even compost bins, you know, like
yeah. That wasn't a compost bin. That was definitely a dumpster.
Yeah.
But I mean, yeah, like, and I don't remember. I guess small town stuff, but I don't remember ever getting thrown into a dumpster as a kid. Like I got bullied like a motherfucker, but I don't ever remember anybody suggesting that we should throw anybody into a dumpster. So, but that is kind of a tropey thing that you see in movies about kids getting bullied, is that they always end up in a dumpster.
Yep.
So maybe it was a thing that didn't happen in my town. I don't know. Fucking city people, God. So Bastion goes and hides from the bullies in the appears to be just a random ass door that he goes into. It doesn't look like a bookstore by any, like there's no sign or anything really. And does the door jingle when he opens it? I don't remember. Maybe that's what we're supposed to know that it's a bookstore from. And also, did you look around the bookstore? It's fucking gross. Like it's a fire hazard. There's just dusty ass books and like stacks of newspaper everywhere, and there's no organization whatsoever. So is it a bookstore?
It's one of those bookstores where it's like in Black Books, where the bookstore owner doesn't like selling books, and like the guy in Good Omens as well. Yeah, he's got.
I mean, Black Books is fucking classic. So I didn't realize he didn't like selling books. I thought it was more that he just didn't like people. So it wasn't so much the book part that was the problem. It was the having to sell it to other people part. I don't know.
Oh no, he just didn't want to sell stuff because he didn't want to have to reorder it. But in Good Omens, it's Aziraphale, isn't it, who owns the bookstore, but he doesn't want to sell anything, so he just has the bookshop opening at really weird hours so nobody can buy things.
Yeah, and he mostly, like, the bookstore is just a front for his massive collection, isn't it? Like, he doesn't want to sell them because they're his personal books.
I kind of get that vibe from this bookshop owner, though. What's it called, Mr. Coriander?
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
that's a name. That is a name of someone who didn't know what to call someone. It's like, what shall I call him? Ooh, Herbrack, Coriander.
Yep. Did he get name checked in the movie? Because I don't remember him saying his name at all, and I don't remember anybody saying his name. So I guess he just is in the credits as Mr. Coriander, because that's an interesting name and definitely an afterthought.
Yeah,
I have not read the Neverending Story book, and now I want to, because of just little questions like that. Like, is the bookstore dude's name Mr. Coriander in the book the Neverending Story? I don't know.
I didn't remember because I read the book so long ago. I have to reread it.
Yeah. Mr. Coriander is kind of a dick. Like, just instantly a dick to Bastion, and he just screams, "Go away, I don't like kids." And it's like, you are complete, like, you have the big tall chair back and several stacks of books between you and Bastion. How the hell did you know that it was a little boy that just walked in? Like, you don't know.
Could have been a little person.
That's what I'm saying. Or it could have been a regular sized person that crouched down when they came in, like bent over to tie their shoe. Like, he didn't know. I mean, he's just kind of a peckerhead.
Just yelling at someone, "I don't like kids," and then they just stand up. It's like, oh, okay.
I just realized Steven's not here, because Steven was the one who called me out for calling somebody a peckerhead a whole bunch the last time we did this. I think when we did the Karate Kid, he was I think it was him that called me out for calling Daniel and Johnny peckerheads.
Well, they were. So
Yeah, they were. Both of them were like Daniel's slightly less of a peckerhead, but he's kind of still a peckerhead. Anyway, I hope Steven shows up. Hope everything's all right. He's never not been here before. What are we gonna do? Steven, if you watch this later, I do hope that you're all right. Like I'm playing it for laughs, but I honestly do hope that you're fine. Moving on. Did Mr. Coriander trick Bastion into taking the Neverending Story book? Because that seems unclear. Like he looks out after Bastion runs off with the book, and he like looks and he kind of grins in a kind of a menacing manner.
oh hell yeah.
But like,
Yeah, I think he did.
why did he? Yeah, because like he obviously didn't care as much as he tried to convince Bastion that he cared, because he left the book sitting there when he went to answer the phone. If it was really that scary and that dangerous of a book, he would have taken it with him when he walked off. Because fucking hello, there's a 10-year-old kid right there. What is it? Like you just enticed him with this, with the how intriguing this book is.
Yeah.
Yeah, but he doesn't like kids. He doesn't care.
No. And also,
Fair.
it wasn't exactly the Necronomicon, either. It was the Never-Ending Story, so
Right.
know.
And yeah, when you watch the whole movie, it's like, yeah, it's crazy. If that were to really happen, that'd be really fucking weird. But it didn't. It wasn't like dangerous for Bastion. It was just weird and mindfuckery. It wasn't actually dangerous for him. So.
Yeah. Unless he decided to do nothing and he, destroys a whole fictional land, that could really fuck you up.
But even then, like if he didn't believe it, it wouldn't have fucked him up, right? He probably would have always had that what if in his head, though, wouldn't he?
I guess. Is it like Tinkerbell and the fairies? Like you have to clap, to like bring them back to life. Like, is it the same thing? If he just doesn't believe, then none of it would have happened.
Maybe.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So when Bastion runs to the school, and you said, "What the fuck kind of school is that?" I wrote that down several times. I was like, "What the fuck kind of school is this? What the hell? Have you ever seen a school with an attic like that?"
And I see like a lot of other people like through the years kind of make that same comment, because even when I was little watching this, it just didn't make sense to me. Like, what kind of school is he at? Who? It's just like, it looks like he's in like an old monastery or like a church or
like a theater attic with like 150 years worth of props, because like there's a fucking stuffed dog head up there. Did you like when they get to the really scary part with Mork?
Yeah.
And the dog head on a board, like why is it mounted on a board? And it just comes flying down at him, and I'm like, what?
I thought it was a coyote or something.
Yeah, well, it's something. It's a wolf or a coyote. Yeah, it's something. I don't know if it's a dog. It's a dog, like a canine of some sort. But yeah, like it's mounted on a goddamn like 2x4, and then it falls forward and scares him, and could have injured him seriously if it had hit him. Because those things are hard. Those the shit that they use to taxidermy animals. That shit's not. You don't fuck around with that.
No.
And like,
there and everything. Why would a school have that sort of stuff in an attic anyway? I mean, that's like valuable stuff, like a crocodile skull there was as well. And there is not.
There. And there was like just a skeleton, which they talked a lot about math, but I didn't hear them say shit about science. So what's the human skeleton for? What's doing up in the attic anyway? If they were using it to teach, then it would be in the classroom.
I think you're
expensive as well.
Yeah. It reminds me more of like a university, college campus, would have that kind of stuff maybe, or like you said, Sarah, like a theater, or something like that.
Yeah, exactly. That shit makes sense if it takes place in a theater.
Mm-hmm.
And like nobody notices him slip up into the attic. Nobody notices that he's not in classes all day. I was thinking when after, he peeks out the door when classes are gone, like, first of all, there's no adult sweeping all the kids out and then boom, everybody's gone from the school. That's not how schools work. There's somebody in that school until 9:00 at night, at least, cleaning the shit. And we never see a janitor in there either. So I guess the school just magically cleans itself. But they just like that one time. What's that?
They had the key in the door. He takes the key out of the door handle and goes up. So
Yeah.
why is it so dusty up there? Because people could obviously get in. It's not like it's a sealed off room that no one's been in for ages.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's just weird. And yeah, and he like had that convenient mat there, that convenient foam mat for him to lay on with a convenient blanket right there. Convenient
candles.
candles, which what the fuck were candles doing there? and a match that could light them. Like, I mean, the way they had everything else styled, those matches would have been super old and probably not lightable anymore. Which is like,
And that's
or Sebastian carrying them around.
Yeah.
Does Sebastian just carry around matches? What the fuck?
Yeah.
The sort of dust that was in that room would be explosive as well, with like fire at it.
Yeah.
I mean, yeah, like all the shit that's in dust and that thick of a layer of dust. Yeah, for sure.
Yeah. The way that they have it set up, it's like he does this all the time. That's what I always kind of.
Oh, you know, I didn't think about that.
There, and I just thought that like this is his hiding place, whatever, when the bullies are there, when he has a bad day. That's what I always kind of thought. Like this was already something that he does all the time. And
I did not consider that, but yeah, that makes all of it make more sense. Except
but then
for
why the key in the door?
Yeah, well, they had the key was up. It wasn't up in the door. He grabbed it out of there was a little box on the wall that said attic and it had a piece of glass over it, but the glass was broken and he reached in and took the key out of that.
Clearly, though, if all this shit up there is dusty and falling apart, nobody's going up there anyway. So it doesn't seem like, it's going to be a known thing that some kids breaking in. It doesn't seem like anybody gives a shit about this spooky attic in the school. So
yeah, it's just weird.
He was also yelling in it quite a lot too.
That's another thing. It's like, how did he yelled? And one of the times he yelled was during the middle of school time, like, and nobody fucking heard him. What? I mean, when he yells, the first time that he yells, I believe he yells when Gamork is introduced, and I mean, even today, Gamork is fucking scary. Like that is a good scary bad guy. That he is good and creepy.
I always loved him. He terrified me when I was little, but growing up, rewatching it, I'm like, that is a fucking terrifying puppet. Like he
is the best. He is definitely the best puppet. No, bar none. But like, I think that if I were to make a list of like the top 10 scariest bad guys in movies that I've seen, I mean, Gamork's up there. He's scary, and you never really see. All you really see is his face until the very end when Atreyu kills him, and then you don't really see anything except like Atreyu kind of shoves his dog-like body off of him, which I was like, he's like a dog bear, a wolf bear, something thing, but mostly looks like Wolfie to me. Yeah. I thought he looked Wolfie, but then he's got the double teeth, the double fangs in the front too, which I was like, I wanted to be scared, but I was like, oh, that looks like when a kitten starts growing their big cat teeth and the little teeth are still there.
Aww.
The little milk teeth are still there, and then they have like double fangs for a while.
I didn't find him as scary as an adult. I think I was much more scared of him as a kid. Like as an adult, you can tell it's a puppet, and the puppets are really badly lip synced as well. If you watch them,
for him, yeah, he was.
Yeah, I think it was more than just his puppet that made him seem really good to me, like really good as a creepy. Like they introduced him with the darkness and the fog and the scary music, and he doesn't speak until he talks to Atreyu at the end. So we lose that what's the loss of disbelief, suspension of disbelief. We don't have that problem with him in the beginning like we do with like Falkor and stuff.
Yeah.
Because he doesn't speak until the very end. And but like I think he's one of the better, especially for puppet work, definitely one of the better puppets bad guys. Like Jurassic Park's better, but not by much. I mean, Jurassic Park's better, but only a little.
Yeah. He was scary, but I was more I know we're going into another movie now, but the Skeksis from Dark Crystal scared the shit out of me when I was little. And they
have to add that one to the list too.
Oh yeah, we should. Hell yeah. They
We're
were
gonna have so many childhood trauma movies.
And they're
Have you
like
seen
just
the Netflix version as well?
yeah. Mhm.
They were
So
even worse than the Netflix one.
Yeah, it's yeah. And it's been a long time since I've seen the Dark Crystal too. Any of them. So I'm not even like I'm trying to remember it. I'm like I don't know. I mean, Gamorre's still scarier, but then I don't remember that. So, but yeah, whatever. So yeah, I just my notes are just what the fuck kind of school is that to have an attic like that? And I'm pretty sure that I have that in my notes at least 2 more times. Like, what the fuck kind of school is this?
yeah.
So I wrote in this because it's just a thing that I've noticed in kids movies, and it's just so like it's adults thinking that children are really stupid, that someone is about to be squished. In this case, the rock monster. Does he have a name in there? Does the rock monster get name checked?
I think it's Rockbiter that I've got.
Yeah, they call him a rock biter, but that made it sound like that was like his species, but I don't think they give him a name.
I don't think so.
Well, he's rolling up onto the campsite with the snail guy is Teeny Weeny, and the bat guy is he's got like
Nightcrawler or something.
Yeah, something. It doesn't even matter for what I'm trying to say, because the point is that the two humans, or the two humanoids, I guess, it's as the rock monster's rolling his bike up to the campsite, and they're like, "You're gonna get squished, get out of the way," and they just run back and forth across in front of the squisher part instead of getting the fuck out of the way. And I was like, that happens in every goddamn children's movie that has a scene where somebody might get squished by something that's coming at them. It's like, you have so much time to get out of the way and you're not doing it. Why? And even as a kid, I was like, get out of the way. All you have to do is go take 10 steps that way. What are you doing?
I did find it kind of ironic that he was going on, the nothing is destroying everything, whilst like basically driving this thing that's just squashing everything in its path.
Yes. I mean, it's a literal steamroller front. It's way, like, if he was driving it as a bike, it didn't need to have a wheel that big. Like, we all know motorcycles and bicycles and even the big mountain bikes, like, the wheel doesn't need to be that big. As long as he can balance, the wheel doesn't need to be that big.
No.
So yeah, they talk, and he's all like, I'm so tired, can I rest at your campsite? And then
none of them say yes.
None of them say yes, but then they're like, then the Rockbiter's like, I'm on my way to go see the childlike empress at the ivory tower because I need help from her to stop the nothing. And they're like, oh yeah, that's what we're doing too. And then the other dude's like, yeah, let's go right now. And then the Rockbiter's like, yeah, let's go. And it's like, dude, you just said you were so tired. What the fuck? He's like, one piece of limestone and you're good now? Like, what? Maybe we should start eating rocks to get energy? Is that the takeaway from that?
My notes say, sleepy giant bat is very cute. I want it.
And they like refer to him as a stupid bat several times. So he must be. I thought he was just like, he's not stupid. He's just narcoleptic. Leave the guy alone.
Yeah.
Or bat. Everybody calling him dumb when he's just really tired. Like, fucking get him some stimulants. He's got narcolepsy.
Give him some of them rocks.
Yeah. So after they go all the way from that campsite, the bat and the elfie guy, the gnomey guy, whatever I can't remember his name right, and it doesn't even matter. But he flies up onto the ivory, like he gets into view of the ivory tower and the center of Fantasia. He doesn't say it's the tower. He says it's the heart of Fantasia, I think. But then, like, it's just like you see it, and it's like, and like this, major synth music, and just big reveal. And every time you see the ivory tower in this movie, even when it's floating on a rock in fucking outer space and there's nothing else around it, it's
that is
like,
cool music, though.
It's like, does the music just always play around the ivory tower all the time, or is it only when somebody looks at it? And if so, what happens if two people look at it at different times, but they're both looking at it at the same time? But like, I turned towards it a half a second before you did. Like, is it 2 songs playing now. I mean,
My
it's
notes
for reveal, but
my notes for this the courtiers of the Empress look like they were designed by people on acid.
oh, 100% they were. I mean, it was 1984. At the very least, they were doing cocaine.
Yeah, probably.
Acid, probably. Like the 80s everybody was doing everything in the 80s. Like, yeah. I mean, imagination, but also drugs. So many drugs.
Yeah.
Makeup on Chiron, the advisor for the princess, the empress, he's the black guy with the fin on his head, like fucking awesome makeup, right? Is that like, I was like, that fin looks like it belongs there. There's nothing, there's no seam, and it like there was pores on it, like it was real skin, and I've never seen makeup that good in an 80s movie. Like it looked like it belonged there.
Maybe that was just his head. They just found some of that
yeah, that's what I was like. Is this guy? Does he have like an actual skull deformity, and I'm just being a dickhead now? And I had to look him up, and he doesn't have a fin on his head. He's like the actor's like got a normal shaped head, so it's really good.
I also put Atreyu could be in a shampoo commercial with his shiny hair.
Absolutely, he has gorgeous hair.
Yes,
I'm jealous of his. Like, look at this frizzy crap. Like, I wish, and like he's just like, it looks like it's effortlessly blowing in the wind, like in a shampoo commercial. I was jealous.
When I was really little watching this, I didn't know if Atreyu was a boy or a girl until I was a little older.
Same. And you know what? It works either way. And honestly, they should have made, like, because Katie, you pointed that out to me off camera earlier, that there's only 2 women in this whole fucking movie. Like, they allude to the woman, the dead mother.
Yeah.
Like, we don't even see the elusive math teacher. Like, there's no women in this. And like, it's
female voices on the Sphinxes and that big tortoisey thing. But that I don't really think they count. The only 2 like actual women are like the witch and the witchy gnome woman and the Empress.
Yeah, and she's like an alchemist. Like she's useful, but the Empress, like you mentioned before, like Empress is basically useless. She doesn't do anything.
Because I mean, they say, oh, the Empress is sick, so she can't do anything about it. It's like, what is she gonna do? She's a child. Is she like really magical or something?
You know what else is she fucking said? Oh, hi, Jack. She said when Atreyu finally gets back to her after he goes searching for the answer, he comes back and he's like, I failed. And she's like, you didn't fail. And he said, he's like, the Sphinx told me to go find a human child, but I didn't do it. So I failed. And she's like, I know that's what we needed the whole time. And she said, I knew all along that that's what I needed. And I'm like, bitch, you knew that and you didn't tell him?
Yeah.
And then she's like, you had to go on this adventure to get the human child. So like, and that is like the only time that they really explain the reasoning behind stuff. Like she
without
said that
weapons as well.
Yeah, that's what I wrote down. I was like, why does he have to go without weapons? Why can't he take weapons? I mean, it turns out he doesn't really need them except for the one time. But
yeah,
why can't he have
when
them?
this giant wolf attacks him and he kills it with like the bluntest piece of stone you could possibly find.
Yeah, that was the only time he really needed a weapon, so I'll give him that. However, why couldn't he take them? You just said you had, like, Chiron said you had to go, you have to do this adventure, and you have to do it without weapons. And I was like, whoa, hold the fuck up. Why can't you take weapons? I would, like, if I was Atreyu, I'd been like, wait, why can't I take my spear? Why can't I take my sword? Why? Did you explain that? Because, like, if you explain it to me and I understand it, then I'll be okay. Then okay, I'll leave my shit here. But like, you didn't explain it.
As well as that, I mean, like, he's having to travel 10,000 miles with no weapons. So how is he going to find food? Because you at least need a knife to like cut like plants and stuff, or you need a bow to like kill animals and things. So it's like, nah, no weapons, no food, just go 10,000 miles.
I mean, at least they didn't tell him that he couldn't take his horse, although we find out later that doesn't matter that much. And that was the first childhood heartbreak I think that I had was the horse.
And how is it so close to the start of the film? I really thought it was like at the end of the thing when I remember it, but it's like just about at the start.
Yeah, and as Artax starts, like that's where like that's the next set of notes that I have. Actually, I did write as a kid. I was always searching for hidden meanings in movies and books and stuff, and this is one of the few that actually kind of had some, and that they explained them at some point because, they talk about the purple buffalo, like Atreyu hunts the purple buffalo, and then Bastion picks up his backpack that has the picture of the Native American hunting buffalo on there that he had drawn. And I was like, oh, so okay, so they're drawing the parallels between Bastion and Atreyu, and so at least it's there. And that was one of the few times where I was like, they said this really cryptic thing and didn't explain it, but it actually did have a meaning. Whereas most of the time, it just doesn't. They just said a stupid thing and they didn't explain it. There was no hidden meaning, no nothing. It was just that was it. So I was glad for that when I, especially rewatching it now, I was like, I'm glad that it actually did because it made me feel a little bit validated for all the time I spent as a kid trying to find those hidden memes. But yeah, then the next thing, like he goes off and basically immediately into the swamps of sadness, right? And Artax dies. And
so all we can get from that is that Artax was really depressed because it says that you can't let the sadness overtake you. So his horse was really sad.
Yeah, Artax was already depressed because you don't just. I know that the swamp is magical and it has the power to draw you in and all that shit, but like Artax was clearly already susceptible to this, right?
Yeah, he was a fucked up horse apparently.
Poor thing. It's like
just
like psychological, the guilt from killing all the purple buffalo and helping Atreyu kill the purple buffalo. I don't know.
Maybe it knows how miserable the giant tortoise is and it doesn't want to go and speak to it.
I wouldn't want to either. I mean, think of how bad its breath must have been. Like it said it was in that swamp for 10,000 years or something. And it's talking to itself so much to the point that it refers to itself as we.
Yeah, and it keeps fucking sneezing and whatever on you.
He's allergic to youth. I mean, understandably so, but I mean, Atreyu was the moron who kept sitting right in front of him. Like, fucking get a different tree, Atreyu. But did anybody catch before Artax sinks completely? Did anybody catch that Atreyu called him stupid? It's like, get up, you stupid horse! And I was like, don't call him stupid, Atreyu. You're stupid.
Yeah. Well, he was angry and whatever.
It was like panicking and he didn't know what else to do. And I get it, but like also don't call him stupid.
Yeah, that just made him sink even faster, you asshole.
Yeah, exactly. And then Atreyu is after we see the pool of muddy water where Artax once was, and Atreyu's sitting on a stump sobbing. I always wondered as a kid, why didn't Atreyu sink too? Because he was sobbing, he was crying there. And my mom was always like, well, he's standing on a rock. He's not going to sink because he's standing on a rock. And I was like, the whole fucking thing is like rocks and sticks and stuff. Like that's not it. It can't be it. But I never questioned my mom because she's the mom, And as an adult, I figured it out. Atreyu doesn't sink because he's not under the spell of the swamps. The swamp didn't make him sad. Artax's death made him sad. So it had nothing the swamp took Artax, but this is my theory. Like this is why Atreyu doesn't get eaten by the swamp, but Artax does. Like Artax fell under the swamp, the sadness swamp spell. Mm-hmm. That's a lot of S's. But then Atreyu, after losing his beloved horse and his friend, his companion for all his journeys, he's sad because Artax died, not because the swamp got him. So
maybe it's the difference between being sad and being depressed, because maybe his horse is depressed and he's just sad.
Yeah, they explain. I mean, definitely. Artax definitely already had some issues, because if you go into a place called the Swamps of Sadness where they call them deadly and everything, but the deadly Swamps of Sadness, and if you go in there knowing that you're already kind of just depressed and that you're susceptible to depression and that the swamp could eat you for that, maybe don't go in there. Maybe go around the swamp. I mean, even if it puts another day or two on your journey, go around the swamp.
Look,
but Atreyu how could Atreyu have known that his horse is depressed though? The horse couldn't talk in that movie either.
No, but the whole reason Artax had to die was so we could get Falcor, because Falcor is not gonna let the horse ride on his back or stick him in his mouth or whatever. So that's
And I mean, like,
Artax died.
yeah, and essentially, like Artax, you know how the comic thing of fridging the girlfriend. You ever heard the term fridging the girlfriend?
No, what do you?
Oh, you gotta Google fridging in comics, like refrigerator fridging in comics. It's when the
Turn into like a serial killer documentary? Am I like?
No, I mean, yeah, kind of maybe in some comics, but no. The idea is that the term originated from was it Spider-Man or the Green Lantern? Oh shit, I don't remember who originally, but it was a superhero whose girlfriend was murdered and stuffed into a refrigerator.
I know what you're talking about now. Okay.
Yeah, and you're like, okay, so that was such a ridiculous way for him to find out that his girlfriend was dead, and so, but it's so much fridging is just the idea that they're killing the girl, the woman, in order to further the plot of the male hero.
Okay, gotcha.
So they kind of like it's Artax. They never really specify if Artax is a boy or a girl. I don't think, but we just kind of assume that he's a he, I guess. And they essentially fridge Artax because he has to die so that Atreyu has the conviction to carry on, even though he's sad. Like he's got to do this for Artax now, right? The fact that the entire fucking world is going to disappear if he doesn't.
I still can't believe there wasn't more sort of character building for you to get more attached to the horse, because it's like one of the only thing that a lot of people remember about the Neverending Story was that scene.
That's definitely the things I remember. Like I can still, even before I watched the movie today, I was like, I could hear with almost perfect recall Atreyu screaming, "Artax, no!" and like pulling on the reins of which is a dumb way to get a horse to come out of something he's stuck in. Like, don't pull on his reins. That's not gonna hurt. That's just gonna hurt his face. You're not helping him. Don't pull on his reins. But yeah, I just that was something that you mentioned that, and I was like, oh yeah, he's not really there much, but they have that one little moment of tenderness between Atreyu and Artax, where Artax wakes up Atreyu and they have breakfast, and he's like, oh, you're hungry and you're such a good horse and you're my best friend, and that's really all we have. And I guess as children that was enough for us, but as an adult I'm like, all right, fine, the horse dies, I guess. Yeah, so but it's still, I mean, it's still a very, I think, a very well done scene, because it's still, even though I didn't cry, I sobbed like ugly cried as a kid every time I saw that. But and like there was, I refused to watch the movie for a while. I remember after I saw that, because I was like, I do not want to see the horse die again. And for a long time after I finally was willing to watch it again, like if I saw that scene, so
I would always fast forward that part when I was little, when I knew it was coming. I would just fast forward it.
Yeah, I was like, I can't do it. I wish we would have that 10-second jump thing, so you didn't even have to watch it happen really fast. It still happened, even though you fast forwarded, it still happened. It was just really fast.
Yeah, even faster now. That's all.
One of my friends actually shared something the other day, which was a model of that scene. It's like, those little blister packs of models, and it's like the horse's head sticking out of the mud. And I'm like, who would make a toy like that?
What kind of monster would make that? Oh, that's horrifying.
I
want one though.
I shared it on my Facebook a couple of years ago at this point, but there was a girl at Dragon Con who dressed up as Atreyu, and she was just carting around a horse's head on the ground, and she would get down and just start screaming, Artax! And oh my god, it was the best cosplay I've ever seen.
Brilliant and horrifying. That is amazing. I'm gonna have to look that up when we get done here, because I need to know now. So I wrote, I just wrote that my theory that Atreyu didn't sink in the swamp because he was sad about his horse, not because of the swamp. And he eventually he doesn't get over it because he remembers Artax and he's sad about Artax, but he also, and like you said, he needed to be there needed to be a reason for Falcor to show up too. So Artax, there was a few reasons why Artax had to go. But why couldn't they have just made him run away or something? Like, why did he have to die? Why did he have to die?
My notes for the next bit are with the big tortoise saying we don't even care if we care is like it's the sort of depression is the swamp of sadness making it depressed, or is this the swamp of sadness like that because it's so depressed it's making the entire area sad?
I wonder if the swamp of sadness became the swamp of sadness because of the turtle.
Yeah.
It was just a regular swamp until the very depressed turtle came in, and then like he was so depressed and so huge that he just started to affect the things around him.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking as well.
Yeah, and the turtle said they'd been there for 10,000 years or something. Like they've been there an insanely long time, so they would have had the opportunity if that kind of magic happens, which it's Fantasia, it probably does. That
imagine how much turtle poo is in there.
Maybe that's all. Maybe that's what Artax sank in.
That's just not nice.
No,
Gross.
come on. The poor horse.
I just made that way worse, didn't I?
Have him like drowning in shit. Come on.
Katie started it. Don't yell at me. Katie started it.
Been there for 10,000 years and it doesn't get out. I mean, come on.
Oh, it was just a regular, like a pasture or something. And then the turtle just decided this is where I'm staying. And then just the turtle's poo and stuff like created the swamp. And because it all came out of the turtle, that's why it's sad.
Oh,
I think I'd be pretty sad if I was wading through 10,000-year-old turtle shit.
Mm-hmm. I mean, I would be too.
What just happened?
We just retconned the swamp of sadness, man.
God.
Okay, let's move on.
Are there any comments?
I wrote in here that how exactly did no one hear Bastion scream in that school twice? At this point, when we get to the swamp of sadness, he shrieks when it's Morlock, right? Is the turtle? He shrieks when the turtle is introduced. Like, first of all, get the fuck out of here, kid. That turtle is not that scary. Secondly, why are you screaming? It's a book. You read it. It didn't just jump out in front of you. Holy shit. And thirdly,
he's really getting into his books that good.
Yeah, well, I've never gotten into a book that much. I've gotten into a book that was so intense that I had to like put it down and like regroup, but I've never screamed. I have read a book and gone, oh my god! Like I've exclaimed out loud, but I've never just gone ah because of a book.
I've only done that with Game of Thrones before I found out about the Red Wedding. Like I was, I didn't know about that, so I actually did. I think I threw the book across the room.
Yeah, I've thrown a book across the room before as well.
Yeah.
I think about a whole dying as well.
That's fair. I just feel like Bastion's screaming was an overreaction, especially since Kid knew he was in a school and that school was in session, and like there was just a bunch of reasons why it was inappropriate for him to scream. He was going to get found out, but yet he doesn't get found out because apparently everybody in that, maybe it's a school for the deaf. Did they say where this? Because like, why didn't anybody hear him scream? I'm just like, why?
Now you're reaching.
Well, that's what I'm saying. Like, it was unlikely that it was a school that only had people who couldn't hear in it. So why didn't anybody hear him scream?
That's a good point.
We don't know. It's just bullshit.
My next notes are saying wolf chasing him. Would be handy to have some weapons around now.
Uh-huh. And then like he's about to just drop and the wolf is about to get him, and then where the fuck does Falcor come from? Like he's just boom there. Like he never explains it. He never explains why did he know Atreyu was there? Was he following him? Did somebody send him? He's just there. And then he's where did he come from? He doesn't explain any of it. They're just suddenly almost to the Southern Oracle, and Atreyu's clean as he was covered from head to toe in mud or turtle shit, and he is clean and his clothes are just clean and dry and his hair is beautiful and wavy and ready to for like the Clairol commercial again, and like nobody explains this except that Falcor, the closest thing that we get to an explanation is that Falcor says, I've only taken you 9,847 miles or some shit like he says, I haven't taken you 10,000 miles. I've only taken you 9,800 miles. Like, basically, you took him 10,000 miles. But where the hell did you come from, dude? Like, I want to know who sent Falkor. Like, why did Falkor know that Atreyu was in that swamp? Why?
Well, he's
And
a
how?
luck dragon apparently, so maybe it was his luck.
That is fair. Maybe he was just passing through and he saw Gamork chasing Atreyu and was like, "Oh shit, I better go help that kid."
Yeah, he's the luck dragon, so he's exactly where he needs to be. That's it.
That's fair, and that's the only thing that makes any sense at all to that part of them, because obviously the whole movie doesn't make sense.
I was kind of assuming that the gnome lady, the witchy lady, had cleaned him up.
Yeah,
I'm assuming that he took Atreyu to the witch and the scientist specifically to help him, because he was like all cut up and like he was sick and he was muddy. So I'm assuming he's just like Atreyu was like this big compared to Falkor being this big, and so Falkor couldn't have done that. He would have had to like take him and fly over a river and just like dunk him by the foot in the river to get him clean. How would he have done it? So
Falkor's got a bit of a T-Rex arm thing going on, because his arms can get nowhere near his head, so he wouldn't be able to see what he was doing with his arms. So
yeah, he specifically asks Atreyu to scratch him behind his ear. So yeah, we know that he can't reach shit with his arms. His legs are weird, and he kind of has a dog head, but he's a very Chinese dragony. Like he's a Asian dragon style. I never counted the toes. Fun fact, did you know that the Asian dragons can be discerned by the number of toes that they have? If they have a certain number of toes, then they are like 5 Chinese dragon, 4 toes Japanese dragon. I only remember Chinese because the place that I worked for was Chinese culture. So I'm terrible about that. But I do specifically know Chinese, 5 toes. Chinese dragon is 5 toes. Yeah, Japanese, if you look it up, I'm sure it's easy to find. Like, how many toes does a Japanese dragon have? But Korean dragons have a certain number of toes, and it started out very much like they were distinct, and as modern culture has taken over, they just kind of all have whatever number of toes now. But for a traditionally Chinese dragon, it should have 5 toes. So I'm gonna have to go back and check Falkor's toes, because he kind of has dog paws too, though, doesn't he? He's Chinese dragon body, but dog head, dog toes, dog tail. So. Which is fine. I think he's cute. I know. I think my sister was really creeped out by him in the movie, but when we saw it as kids, but I always thought he was cute.
I always thought he was adorable. I loved him.
Like he had those beautiful, sparkly, like iridescent scales. I was like, I want. Next time they fall off, I'm just gonna keep 2 of them and make a pair of earrings out of them or something. It's so pretty. But yeah, I like all that being said. Where did he come from? And luck is just the simple fact that he's a luck dragon is the only thing we're going to get as an explanation, I think. And we have to stop and rewind back to the beginning for a second here, because Atreyu is this famous warrior, right? Like he's known far and wide in Fantasia. Everybody knows Atreyu, the brave and valiant warrior. And then when Atreyu shows up at the Ivory Tower, they're like, get the fuck out of here. You're just a little kid. Like, how did they know that Atreyu was this famous warrior, but they didn't know that Atreyu was young? And it's like, you guys called him. Shouldn't you know this person before you specifically try to hire him? Like they extended the employment invitation to Atreyu. Why did they not know that Atreyu was a little boy? So that was just like, I just remembered that for some reason when Falkor came along here. So I was like, come on. Anyway, moving on. So they get to the witch and the scientist's house. I guess they're kind of like the witch and the scientist, because she's making potions and he's all about observing, and he specifically refers to himself as a scientist. She doesn't refer to herself as anything in particular, but she's making potions. So she's either a doctor, which would also be scientist, but he calls her a witch, I think.
Yeah.
He calls her a witch as well.
Yeah,
Have you noticed that she's one of 2 women in the film, and the scientist makes her winch him up the thing and calls her lazy when she's like going cranking this flipping thing up as fast as she can. And it's like, she's not lazy.
And when he tells her to get there, he says to the wench, he insults her before, like, as like in the same breath that he's telling her he needs her help, he's insulting her. I was like, wow, you're kind of a dick, dude.
Yeah.
He has a very Max, the Miracle Max from Princess Bride, like they were obviously, one of them was inspired by the other. I think Princess Bride is a little bit later than Neverending Story.
Think so.
Possibly.
The Princess Bride, 1987. Yep.
Mhm.
Yay for Google auto completing. 1987. Yeah. So I think that Miracle Max was at least in part inspired by the Neverending Stories scientist dude whose name I can't even remember because he's not that important to the, like.
And he has
none
the
of them
weirdest telescope. It's like,
Yeah.
it's crystals
Cool,
and
isn't
like
it?
vials of liquid.
Yeah,
It's like,
it's a
where are the
weird
lenses?
telescope, but it's also really pretty.
It
Like
is.
stained glass window.
Oh, that just reminds me. When I was a kid, I went through a phase of drawing landscapes with massive crystals in it, and I just realized it's because I watched The Neverending Story.
There you go.
Aw.
His memories. I actually don't know the rest of that song. Na, 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 na. That's I know the music, but I don't know the words.
My next notes are: Gate won't let anyone who doesn't see their own worth go through. I'd be fucked.
Katie,
I think
supposed
all
to think
big.
highly of yourself. You gotta fake it till you make it, Kate. Do you think that the gate would know if you were faking it? Because it
I
can
think
see
so.
your soul, so I think, or he says it can see straight into your heart, doesn't he? So he would probably know.
Yeah.
But also,
And there's no dead bodies when he first has a look at it. And then when you get there, the skeletons, like, where did they come from in intermediate time? And there's not enough skeletons.
No, there's not. I wanted more
I
depth.
thought there should have been way more skeletons too.
Yeah.
When
Just lining the entire canyon.
Yeah, hell yeah.
yeah, exactly, because he made it, the scientists made it sound like there was a shit ton of people that came through, and that he said 100 years that he's been observing this gate, so there should be a lot more skeletons. I understand the sand is blowing through and covering some of them up, but come on. It's
There
like
should be
there's a
more.
big ass wall there. It should either be a big old pile of sand dunes or there should be skeletons everywhere. It should just be fucking
Yeah.
bones.
What was it? I don't even remember. What is the movie rated? Is it PG?
Yeah,
It's
Is
not,
it? I think it's PG.
it is.
because I mean, it probably had to be like a censorship thing too. They didn't want to have like dead bodies, strewn around everywhere.
Where is that? That should be something I should add to the stuff that we mentioned in the beginning. Is like, what's its rating?
Yeah, because that's part
Great.
of this whole us at our age. That's why we were able to see this traumatic shit when we were little, because there was no PG.
Yeah.
What
Yeah.
you say? What are
It's U for Universal, so
Yeah.
shipped down
Before-
should be PG-13, but it's I think it was G or at least PG. But like I wouldn't have my my young 6-year-old watching Watership Down, or if anybody's familiar with, especially the Plague Dogs.
Plague Dogs.
Yeah.
It was
Plague Dogs.
horrendous.
We have to do Plague Dogs. That movie.
Plague Dogs
yeah,
is
no, that
traumatizing
was-
for adults. Never mind kids.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that was absolutely on the list. Like, yeah, I was like, how the fuck is that? And I think I said Watership Down, Neverending Story, Plague Dogs, The Secret of Nim. Like, those are ones we gotta. And I didn't know that Fern Gully got you, Katie. So we're definitely gonna put Fern Gully on the list.
I
love
haven't
that.
dared watch it ever since I was a kid because I was so traumatized by the thing that cut down the trees.
Oh well, okay, so that's still creepy. But now, like with you, when you know that it's Tim Curry, you gotta soften up a little bit to that part because it's Tim Curry.
Maybe.
And then,
Yeah.
and I think that it'll be okay because it is way easy. It was way easier for me to stomach as an adult too. So I think you'll be okay. But if it gets too intense, you are always welcome to stop and then come and tell us that it was too intense because we'll get it. We understand.
See, I probably wouldn't even be that bothered by now because I'm like, in my 30s. I'm like a little kid anymore. But yeah,
I watched How to Train Your Dragon 2 as an adult, and I've watched it a grand total of one time because I was so fucking traumatized by that fucking movie. Like in the middle of it, like as an adult. So I totally understand not wanting to watch a movie because you were traumatized as a child. Like that shapes your shit way more than watching a movie as an adult. And here I am sitting like, I fucking How to Train Your Dragon 2 got you right in the feels, man.
Did. I agree with that.
Did either of you notice that in between the Sphinxy bit where they're doing all that, that witchy woman just injects some random injection into Falcor?
I wrote that down too. I was like, you can't just be stabbing dragons with medicine he didn't consent to. What the fuck? And you know what? When she's going to give Atreyu another dose of medicine, she lists off a bunch of shit that she put in it. And one of them was rancid sea serpent, the scales of a rancid sea serpent. I was like, is a rancid sea serpent dead or alive? Because if it's dead, it wouldn't be rancid so much as rotting. And if it's alive, how is it rancid? Like, what is it? I have to know. What is it? I have to know.
And she didn't ask him if he had any allergies.
No, which is like number one thing that the doctor asks you. Like, I don't even get to the doctor before I get asked if I have any allergies. And they want to know everything you're allergic to, not just medicine. Yeah, and then he sneaks up onto Falcor's back and sticks him with a big ass vial of vitamins. They're vitamins? Yeah, sure they are.
Vaccinations.
Oh no, he's got 5G now. 5G. Oh, we get to the gates. Sphinx boobies.
How does the desert between the Sphinx gate turn into a blizzard? Like in the next scene?
I don't know. How come the first gate and the actual oracle are both just two sets of sphinxes, but the middle gate is like a weird mirror with a slit in the middle, like a trans-dimensional mirror or whatever. Like, I don't. Why isn't that also a sphinx? Like
the Sphinx. I think the Southern Oracle is basically the Sphinx statue with glitter on it because they were running out of money by this point.
Oh, that's fair. I didn't consider the budgets. Yeah, that could be why. Yeah. I was surprised that like boobs. There was like big old boobies on those Sphinx, and I was like, that as a kid, I remember like that very clearly. I was like, are we allowed to? Am I allowed to be watching this movie? Because there's boobs in this movie, like big naked boobs on these Sphinxes, and I don't think that Egyptian Sphinxes have boobs on them like that. I don't know, but I don't think.
Those are Grecian Sphinxes. Greece and Egypt both have Sphinxes, and they're both different. Those are Grecian ones, I think.
That's fair. I didn't.
Sarah, not Egyptian boobs.
They're Fantasian boobs.
They're Fantasian boobs. That is correct. But yeah, you're right. I had the same kind of feeling when I was watching it too when I was little. Like that's all I just kept staring at the damn breasts.
Same. Maybe that was like the first indication that I should have had that maybe I'm a little bit gay. Like I didn't as a kid. I was like, oh no, I'm not gay. I'm what everybody else is. Everybody else is. That's what I am. And then I was like, maybe I looking back on it now, I was like, maybe I should have known then that I was a little bit gay.
Yeah. Well, you're also seeing something that you normally wouldn't see as a child either in a movie for children.
Which is stupid, really, because boobs are for children, basically.
True.
Feeding children.
Because Christianity.
Well, I was gonna say that's a whole nother topic for a whole nother stream, which I'm sure we'll get into at some point. But yeah, no, you're absolutely right. It's not something that should surprise us, but especially in America. Yeah, it's
absolutely. I was stunned. Was that as much of a thing? Was it more acceptable to have boobs in a kids movie in England, Katie?
I don't know. The ones that I remember were from the last Unicorn on the Harpy.
On the Harpy.
Do you remember being shocked by them by seeing boobies on screen in a kids movie?
Tits?
Well, I think it was just the Harpy in general, and the weirdly sexual tree that was in it as well. We need to do the last Unicorn.
We have to do the last Unicorn too. And then since we're on that one, and Tim Curry was mentioned, what's that one with Tom Cruise?
Legend.
Yeah, that one too. That one was kind of creepy.
I like Legend.
Yeah. Okay, we gotta get back to this because we are at 1 hour and 20, and we're supposed to wrap this shit up by 1 hour 30, and we're so close. So okay, when after the witch lady stabs Falcor with the drugs he didn't ask for, Bastion, there's a point at which I think it's when he's looking into the second gate and he sees Bastion, and Bastion looks and sees him and some shit, and they're like both freaking out, but obviously Bastion's freaking out more, and he gets up and he whips the book across the room and it lands on its face with the pages all crumpled, and I was just like, anxiety, don't treat the book like that. Oh, that caused me more stress than I think anything else. It was like, don't ripple the pages. You need the page, and that's not even your book, dude.
Yeah.
You said you were going to give it back. Don't you think he's going to notice if it's damaged?
And more screaming too.
Yeah, more screaming. But at least this time, like, it was very clearly night, and there was probably nobody left in the school to hear the screaming. But also, the window was open, wasn't it? So somebody might have been walking by on the street and heard him screaming. Not that we know where the hell the school is. It could be out in the middle of a field. I don't fucking know, because we
I mean, why hasn't his dad like alerted the police at this point? Like, my child is missing.
I wrote that down too. Like, why isn't his dad looking for him? Why isn't he concerned that his dad doesn't know where he is? Like, did he text his dad or something? It's 1984. You didn't have a fucking cell phone, boy. But did he like stop and call his dad and be like, I'm at my friends or something? Because you can't call your dad and say, I'm at the attic of the school, because then you're like, not only are you not going to be going out anymore, like they're going to put you in a padded room. Yeah. You can't do that shit. You're going to get charged with a crime.
I think his dad at that point was like, fuck it, I don't have to deal with that brat anymore, and he just didn't care. So, you know.
Too much of a nerd. He reads too many books.
But his dad was a bit of a prick, but I got the idea that even though he was kind of a bit of a dick at the beginning, like he still cares about his kid, and you know, he was like, you know, you can do this, and you're trying to be encouraging, but he was doing a bad job of it. But he tried, so like I feel like he would have been looking for his kid at that point.
No,
yeah, maybe.
I totally disagree. I like my theory.
And that is entirely
how long does it work as well?
Like, I think it's an entirely plausible. Like, they're both valid theories, and perhaps we should contact the estate of the author and find that shit out, or rather the guy who wrote the movie, because apparently they changed so much that he didn't even want his name attached to it. So somebody should answer that question. We'll just fling this stream out into the world and hope that somebody comes back to us that knows what they're talking about and tells us if the dad was really that big of a dick or not. And while you're at it,
maybe his dad killed his mom. We don't know.
That's true. I mean, he just says mom's death. They just refer to mom's death. They don't actually say how she died. Yeah, okay, and at this point he lights the candles. I'm going, where the fuck did he get matches? Where the fuck did he get candles? Where the fuck did those come from? And how are they casting so much light? There's a lot of light.
Yeah, I was like that. It's like, how are 4 candles like lighting the entire room?
Yeah.
I mean, I wish I had candles like that. Some good candles.
Like 60-watt candles.
Yeah, something like that. And that's, I told, so they get, at this point, he lights the candles and he's carrying on, and Falcor has taken him back to, the nothing, because the nothing is coming, and Falcor and Atreyu get separated, right? And then Atreyu runs into that weird, like, forest with the wall, the rock wall paintings of himself on this journey, and that's never explained. Like, why, if that was out there this whole time, why didn't we already know about it? And for that matter, if Gamork knew about it, why didn't he just wait there the whole time instead of chasing Atreyu and wasting all his energy? Just wait at the painting cave place. He's coming. Just chill there.
He does look quite scary when his eyes go really wide and then they're sort of glowing. But
oh yeah, that's why I was like, okay, so I agree with you that when the mouth doesn't really move quite right, but in the 80s that was still pretty cutting edge, I think. So yeah. I probably didn't notice it in the 80s. Like, I mean, overall, for 1984, this movie was released. So for the time period, and still to this day, I think he holds up as a really creepy villain. because the nothing is scary, but the nothing doesn't have a face. Like the closest thing we get to a face of the nothing is Gamork. So I think he's pretty scary. I mean, I still think he's a pretty creepy bad guy. Like I don't know if I'd say scary now, just because I'm a jaded old person now, but like he's pretty creepy.
I mean, it's called the Nothing, but it's a hell of a lot of something when you actually see it coming, like clouds and all that sort of thing.
Yeah, it kind of looks like a storm, and I was like, but I thought it was nothing. Why didn't it just like come through and just and everything's black? And that was another thing, like when the nothing zips through, then it's not nothing. It's a universe. There's stars and shit. So like, there's not nothing.
Yeah, it's space, which Atreyu can apparently breathe in.
Yeah, I don't know. Maybe because Luck Dragon? I don't know.
Yeah, but he also can get frostbite from when they're flying over the snow-covered mountains as well.
Yeah, that's true.
And survives back in space.
Just Luck Dragon, magic, I don't fucking know. But he, so they Falkor finds Atreyu. Do they show when Falkor and Atreyu reunite? Because they get lost, they get separated.
Yes, because Falkor goes into the sea and gets the necklacey thing, the Orin thing.
Yeah,
and then he goes back and finds it.
I was like, it was very clearly an aquarium with aquarium fish, and I was looking at it going, I wish my aquarium looked as nice as that. Is it because he's a luck dragon? Because my aquarium looks like shit compared to that. Like the fish don't care, but it's not pretty. It's not attractive like that aquarium. Sad face. So they reunite. The nothing has gone through. There's just bits of Fantasia floating around, and they see the ivory tower, right? So they fly up to it, and Atreyu and the childlike empress are talking about how they've got to fix this. And that's when she says, I've known all along that all I needed to get healthy again was to have a new name. And I knew all along that I needed a human child. And she like they said, the oracle said a human child, and the childlike empress said an earthling child. And I was like, an earthling child could mean literally a lot more than a human child. She said an earthling child, but I was like, there's a lot of different species of animals on this planet that have babies. So like it could have been a dog or a cat.
Child, you call it a kitten.
No, but wouldn't you agree that a kitten is a cat child, an earthling child?
No, I don't.
I'm just saying that the broad definition of what a child is. I mean, there's I do the plants too, right? And plants are referred to as children, like when you propagate a plant, or like when a plant grows a baby plant off of it, like it's a child, like
seedlings and saplings.
Yeah,
no, they're child.
Should we agree that it has to be a species that can give something a name? So like humans and dolphins and certain types of birds, I would think as well.
That's just what from our understanding too. Like we don't know. We don't know. What about bees? What do bees give names to all the millions of bee offspring?
Oh, they probably wouldn't bother. Hive mind things.
Like on Ant-Man when it's like you're giving A627 to just name him with numbers. So at this point, Atreyu and the childlike empress are talking, and like then the childlike empress directly addresses Bastion, and she's like, "You have to call my name," blah, blah, blah. And he runs out to the stormy window, which you didn't need to just scream it out the window, bro. You could have just screamed it like you screamed everything else in the middle of this room. You didn't have to run to the window and get wet and risk getting struck by lightning in the storm that magically appeared. But he screams out, "Motherfucking Moonchild." And I thought for sure that had to be a typo, or like somebody just misheard it and that it propagated that way. But no, it's fucking when you pay attention, he very clearly screams out Moonchild. And you need to tell me that buttoned up asshole that drinks orange juice with raw eggs married a woman named fucking Moonchild. What? Because he specifically says earlier in there that it's too bad I'm not the kid that they're looking for because my mother had such a beautiful name. He specifically says he would name the childlike empress after his mother.
But if you think about it, if you think about the time period, if he's born in 1984, then his mother could have been born in like the 60s.
Yeah.
And that's Moonchild is a sort of name that you'd associate with like the 60s and 70s.
And that was where my mind went too. But then I was like, that guy, the dad, Bastion's father, is not the kind of guy. He was wearing a business suit and he fucking made his breakfast in a blender and he put 2 ingredients in that breakfast that were disgusting.
Maybe he gave in to the man after, Moonchild died and he became all corporatized and shit,
Or maybe she was rebelling against her name and wasn't like you'd expect her to be.
Yeah.
I don't know, just everything about that, the house that they lived in, the way that the guy was. I just feel like I don't think her name really was Moonchild. I think that Bastion is stupid. Like, what was going on there? Bastion just didn't know. Like he was like, it was like he grew up, and you know how when you're a kid you think your mom's name is Mom, and maybe his mom, instead of saying don't call me Mom, I know I'm your mom, but call me Moonchild. And so then he thought his mom's name was Moonchild. Like, that's the only thing I can figure, because there's just no fucking way that dude married a woman who went around calling herself Moonchild. That guy's asshole was clenched up so tight, there's no fucking way he would have ever given 2 seconds more of time to a woman named Moonchild. I just cannot believe that. I just cannot wrap my brain around that. So, I don't know. I get, like, I mean, there's suspension of disbelief again and all that, but I just feel that it can't be. It just can't be. I'm just being a dick, I guess. I don't know. So, the second time in this movie when I cried as a kid was when Atreyu is running and he comes back up upon the rock monster, who is like just sitting there and he's crying, and you see the glistening tears falling from his eyes, and he goes, "They look like big, strong hands." Like, yes. And I'm like, that was the second time that I cried as a kid in there, because I was like, oh my god, he's so guilty, and just look at him and all and he's like, he commits suicide essentially because he just lets the nothing take him. He doesn't try and run. Like,
he could have tried to help Atreyu.
He could have, but he did help Atreyu, didn't he? He directed him in the right way or something.
I can't remember.
To help Atreyu. Gave him information or something. I can't remember now, but he did help Atreyu. He just didn't try to get him. But then he's like, Atreyu, he says, go on that way, and I'm just gonna sit here and let the nothing take me to. And then he just starts going again. They look like big, strong hands. I was like, oh. I was so, like, that was so sad. Like, I just feel like that was maybe one of the most compelling emotional scenes in the movie, rather than the death of Artax, because we got a little bit of an intro from this guy.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I see what you mean. I think it's more of an emotional thing for an adult rather than a kid, though. I think you're more likely to be responsive to the horse if you're a kid.
Yeah.
Talking about getting taken out of the movie is when your cat takes a dump in the nearby litter box and doesn't cover it, so you just get a big old nostril full of cat poo. I have to figure out a place that I can move my setup to, where it's like I need more separation from the cat poo, because it's just way too close being right over there.
I'm sorry if you can hear my dog. He's dreaming.
Aren't we all, Katie?
Well, apparently you are in Fantasia, so.
Yeah, exactly. Oh, so when Atreyu meets up with Gamork, right, like, Gamork doesn't know that it's Atreyu right up until Atreyu says, "I'm Atreyu, get me." And Gamork says the reason that he is helping the nothing is because people without dreams are easy to control, and the person who has the control has the power. And I was like, oh my god, Gamork is capitalism.
Yeah.
That didn't, I don't know if that happened to anybody else, but it totally, I was like, holy shit, Gamork is capitalism. The nothing is capitalism. Something. So
I was getting really irritated by this stone dagger he picks up, which is like, it's so blunt that you'd never kill anything with it.
I suppose because like Gamork leaps out onto him, and I suppose if he was just holding that piece of stone, the way that he like straight up, and Gamork's own weight came down on it. But also knowing what I know about knife wounds, and don't ask me why I know this about knife wounds, but I know that getting a single stab is highly, highly, highly unlikely to kill you, especially like that. Like he would have to bleed out unless he pierced the lung and heart immediately. There's just no way that Gamork died just boom, right as soon as he landed. Like where the rock went into him, and it's like in there all the fucking way. Like it is in there. So maybe it did pierce his heart and killed him pretty instantly, but it's just, I find it unlikely that, you know, combined with the fact that he picked up a blunt rock, like you said, and even if he did manage to pierce him because of Gamork's own weight pushing down on it, still, it's just so unlikely that he died from a single stab. But then he's just like insta-dead. And I was like, I guess as a kid, I was like, well, of course, he got stabbed, so of course he'd die. But as an adult, I'm like, this doesn't hold up to scrutiny. So, we better start wrapping it up here because we've gone 7 minutes over time now.
And it's 2:45 for me.
Oh,
in the morning.
Probably want to go to sleep soon, huh? Eventually. When Bastion is it's before it's before he screams screams Storm. Bastion eats the whole fucking apple core. Eats the apple that he's eating, and he just pops the rest of the core in his mouth. I'm like, dude, there's like bacteria and shit in there. You don't eat the core. Gross.
I remember.
Well, technically, it's the cyanide in the apple pips.
I think that I read somewhere, I don't know if this is true either, but like you just poop out the apple seeds so the cyanide doesn't really get you. So you have to like break up the seeds for the cyanide. And don't you have to eat like a whole bucket full of them to make it matter?
Probably. There's not that many. You know, it's not like fatal. I mean, I've eaten apple seeds. I think everybody has.
The way that an apple grows, like the all the gross shit is in the center of it, and you're supposed to eat around that. And he didn't wash the apple off. Where the hell was he going to wash that apple off? Even if it was just in his bag rolling around and he washed it off at home, still, it's dirty. Gross. But also 1984, so.
Probably wouldn't have been covered in pesticides as much, maybe.
Well, DDT was big.
That's true. Yeah.
That was before we knew that DDT was bad. When Falkor beckons Atreyu up in, his eyes are really well lit up, and I was like, oh, Falkor has really pretty eyes. Nothing. Just no extra notes on that. Just like Falkor has really pretty eyes. And also, I want to have a castle with a drawbridge that's shaped like a flower petal because it looks cool.
Yeah.
That was it. The only time that anything gets explained in any kind of reasonable detail is that time when the childlike empress says to Atreyu that he had to do that journey. So I was like, why didn't they do that when at the beginning when they tell Atreyu that he can't take weapons, or when they explain the whole other people are following Bastion's story, just like Bastion's following Atreyu. It's not that we strictly need an explanation. It's just that I want one, and especially for the weapons thing.
I mean,
would have been nice.
If you want the kids to go along with you, kids like weapons, especially little boys.
Oh, yeah. And I mean, Atreyu was trained and stuff, so Atreyu would have probably gone anyway. But also, the way that my brain works is like, I'm not asking you why because I'm trying to be an insolent little turd. I'm asking you why because I want to understand. And I'm much more likely to grasp the concept if you explain it to me when I do ask why. So like, and like honestly, if you're asking somebody to go on a dangerous journey, and then you say, and you can't take your weapons, that would be the first fucking thing coming out of my mouth. It's like, why? Why did I take the thing that's most important on this thing that you stated immediately is going to be a very dangerous journey? Come on, man. So. And Bastion screams, 4 times? Screams because of the book? Like he's reading the book and he just says, for like, why? And he does like the thing where he flings the book across the room. Like I think we all said that we had done that at least once in the past, and exclaiming, but I've never just straight up shrieked. So Bastion does fling the book, and I can relate to that, but he does also screams 4 times. Just ah. No, what? Why are you screaming? It's a book. It's not gonna get you. Until he actually calls out the name of the childlike empress, fucking Moonchild. God damn it. They could have picked, like, the name didn't matter. They could have picked anything. They could have picked Julie or Sarah or Katie. They could have picked anything. They could have picked Rebecca or fucking Karen. They could have picked anything.
Betty.
They could have picked a non-Western name, like, but fucking Moonchild? Ugh. Betty.
I don't know why. That's funny.
Betty. But you have to say it in the in the Queen's English accent there, like Katie did, like Betsy.
Yes. Betsy.
I can't do accents. I can do
technically not Queen's English, but you know,
it's not Scottish. I know that.
I know. At this point, it's kind of a mix between everything. But...
Fair enough. And then we get where she's like, they're holding the grain of sand, and like there's just a tiny little spark of light, and then all of a sudden it just starts to glow, and then we can actually see Bastion and the childlike empress, but like that's all coming from that little piece of sand, which I've never seen sand glow either, and I want glowing sand. What the hell? And
her makeup's changed in between, like when she's crying and looking at the sand, she's hardly got any makeup. When she hasn't got as much eye makeup around when she's looking at the grain of sand.
It must be because the darker, like it was more dramatic because your eyes get red when you cry. So like the pink makeup that they had on in there made it more dramatic.
Maybe.
I analyzed the photographs of her in her makeup as she's crying because I tried to do my makeup like that, which you can't even see because of the stupid glasses. But like I totally did see. I tried. I failed, but I tried. So a thing that I noticed that was a criticism by the author was that he said that Fantasia, and I think he's referring to the movie rather than the book, Fantasia springs back up with almost no effort on the part of Bastion, whereas in the book, I think he like goes through the adventures. And the movie itself only covers the first half of the book, so there's that too. But I think that was one of the things the author was disgusted with, was that the whole land of Fantasia comes back just boom like that, and it does, because he's like, he's holding the sand. He's like, I think my first wish will be, and then suddenly he's riding on Falcor's back and pointing out the mountains, and he keeps going, Falcor, look, it's beautiful, Falcor this, Falcor that. I was like, stop fucking saying his name. He knows his name, and you two are the only ones there. You don't need to say his name. He knows you're talking to you. He knows you're talking to him. Because I don't know.
Like waving back at him on the dragon, and so it's like, they don't know who he is. Just this random boy that is screaming their names at them from the back of Falcor.
Yeah, well, he's like, how do you like it? And it's like, did they ever actually get close enough for those boys to see who it was? But I did like when he comes in, when Falcor flies into the real world. I did like that the adults and everybody saw the dragon, and they were like, Jesus Christ, oh my God, and they're ducking and running and stuff.
I did like that.
At least they didn't just make it so that he was only seen by the kids that they were chasing, but actually that might have been better, because then when they tried to run and tell their parents about it, they've been like, you're on drugs, aren't you? You're on drugs. I'm sending you to rehab. I'm sending you to military school because you cannot be doing this shit. I mean, probably should have been going to military school anyway, because they were ganging up in a group of 3 to beat up a much smaller child. That's military school shit. That's why you send your kids to military school. And my final thought of the movie was that I really wish that I would have had a Falcor as a kid. Not gonna lie, that would have been fun.
A giant sky puppy.
Yeah, go into the real world and just scare the shit out of the people that were harassing me. That would have been fun.
Yeah.
So you got final thoughts, Katie, Julie, Anybody? Final thoughts?
I wanna
Favorite line? What?
I'd rather have a Gamork that I can send off to kill
Ooh,
people.
okay.
What to set on the bullies? Yeah.
I'm not as hardcore as you. I guess I would just like to scare them and make them poop their pants and jump into dumpsters. I don't want to assign hitmen or hit dog, bear, pig things.
I hit
Whatever
wolf.
he is. Yeah, he's like a
I
wolf
think he's a
bear.
wolf.
Yeah,
He's has a very bulky body for a wolf, but he also definitely has a wolf face, but like double fangs, and that's fucking cool. So, I
I like the bat.
Yeah, the bat's pretty cool too, and he can ride him. So, flight there too, and I don't know if you had a giant ass bat, that would be scary enough. Even a narcoleptic giant ass bat.
Yeah.
So, favorite quote of the movie? Anybody have a favorite quote?
It's too early in the morning for me to remember quotes.
Oh, that's fair. I don't really have a favorite quote because all I can remember is Artex. Like that's all I can remember of the movie. Is like that overshadows any chance I might have had to remember a favorite quote. But favorite scene is just not shitting you. The scene where Atreyu is walking into the ivory tower and Falcor's on the ground going, go on, and just his big pretty eyes. Just that like just freeze frame right there. I don't even care about the rest of the scene.
I quite like the scene with the ivory tower at the start with all those fucking weird creatures and like courtiers with like the three faces into one and stuff. I really liked all the weird monsters.
Mhm.
And yeah, and the ones that I noticed very that are sticking out, it was like a statue head, and that was their whole body. It was just their head, the big statue like head,
Tiny little legs underneath it.
Yes, that was fantastic. All the creatures in the beginning, very, very like A+ on creativity there. Definitely lots of drugs.
I miss the 80s fantasy movies because they're all like that. They are just so crazy.
Yeah.
I mean, stuff nowadays seems to fit into this sort of category of like elves and dwarves and men. You know, the Lord of the Rings-esque stuff. But in the 80s, it was just absolutely insane. It's like, what were you smoking?
I mean, lots of acid had to be done.
Yeah. Like Kroll.
Everybody talks about acid trips being very woo. And the only thing I can think of it's legal right now. It's probably not going to be forever because that's how America is. But have you ever heard of it? It's called, I think, Salvinia. Salvinia.
Yeah, I have. I knew someone who grew it.
Ah, cool. And you smoke it, and it like either it makes you feel really, really good or really, really bad, which I've heard is how pot makes you feel too. But I honestly don't have enough experience with pot to know that. So, but I don't have any experience with the salvia either, and it gives you like crazy visions and stuff and makes you feel really awesome. So,
Salvia divinorum or something, isn't it? It's
yes, that's it. Salvia divinorum. Yeah, that's it. And it's so maybe since it's legal, if we get some movie people to smoke some of that and then write down what they see, maybe we can get more 80s-esque movies.
I'm sure that that sort of people probably can find other alternatives to salvia.
Yeah. I mean, it's not like acid doesn't exist anymore. It's like LSD is still absolutely a thing. We can still do that. It's not legal. And apparently in the 80s, it was either not yet criminalized or just so easy to get a hold of that it didn't even matter.
Yeah, it was just easy to get. That's all.
Because I know that marijuana is only criminalized because of racism. It's marijuana and cocaine is criminalized because of racism. I don't know. There's an every episode on it. So
hemp is sort of criminalized because of like there was loads of lobbying by like paper companies and like fibers and all sorts of stuff that it can be used for, that people were going to lose money because of it. So there was a lot of lobbying going on because it can be used for pretty much anything.
Because here it absolutely was because they were trying to turn white people against black people and Mexican people, and they were like, if we criminalize the shit out of these drugs that are and then put out propaganda to associate Mexican people and black people with smoking pot and doing drugs, then we can make the white people be scared of them, and then we have that divide that causes us to be able to control shit. So it's actually, I think, was it the founder of like the FBI guy? Shit, what's his name? Not Eisenhower. Eisenhower? Ah, I used to know this shit, and then like old brains, bad. But anyway, the point is that it's documented in our FBI files. It's documented that they absolutely, and they testified in court about that's what they did. Did we know the drugs were harmless? Of course we did. That's one of the big quotes from there, and it's fucked up. But also, I think that paper industries probably got in on it too here because of that kind of stuff, because it's like if you can make it out of these renewable plants, then why would we need trees, which are much harder to renew, take much more time and resources. So anyway, so do we have any final thoughts about, like, definitely if you haven't watched Neverending Story in a while, I recommend giving it a watch, because if nothing else, it's excellent for going, like WTF value, because you're going, who thought of all of this and why, how, where did that come from in your brain? Because just for that alone, I think it's worth the watch.
Yeah.
So
nostalgia factor as well. It's like
nostalgia factor.
I think
we should probably. Sorry.
I think it's a good movie to show your kid at, whatever age you think would be appropriate, but you get to introduce them into fantasy, and there are, like we said, a little bit of horror aspects to it too.
Mm-hmm.
I think it's a good introduction movie into that type of world, for kids. And also, if your kid you think can relate to Bastion at all and is kind of a bookworm and is a little different, I think it's a good movie to show them that you're not the only person like this, and it's not weird, it's not
Mm-hmm.
who you
Yeah, and we can tell, like, you show this movie to your kid and be like, this is why your mom is the way she is. That's what I grew up on. So there's that too. So we should just put out a poll of what movie we should do next for childhood trauma. We should get our shit on a list and figure out just pull 5 of them out and do a poll. So anybody who's watching this now or later, if you want to vote on that, it'll be in the Unlikely Hero Studios Presents cool or awesome comics and other cool shit too Facebook group. Just go to Facebook, and if you're not already a part of the group, just search Unlikely Hero Studios Presents, and it should be the only one that comes up, because I'm pretty sure it is. Pretty sure, not 100%, but like, you can quote me, but also I might be wrong. So next week we are doing a episode about creatives and mental health. So assuming that I didn't, because we had big screw ups with the schedule and stuff, so assuming everybody who originally agreed to come can still come. We had Russell Nolte was one of them, and he's very open about how he uses his mental health as inspiration and how he deals with it to continue making. So he's super open about that, and he's always willing to answer questions about that stuff. So he's an excellent resource, even though he's not strictly a mental health professional. He's kind of like, he's an expert on his own mental health, and like, aren't we all? But gets to knowing what makes creatives tick, and why do we all seem to have some kind of mental illness happening to us? Like, why are all artists crazy? And crazy is a bad word, isn't it? But
it's the artistic personality,
I guess. I mean, that's, like, we all, like, I bet, I mean, there's like all 3 of us could probably tell stories about that, I suppose. I know I could, for sure. And so we're gonna have Russell, and I know that I have to confirm with a couple other people, because what with the weird fuckery that was going on with our schedule, I wasn't even sure what we were doing tonight. So there was some weirdness, and I'm glad that this all worked out. But also next week, I'm pretty sure that's what's happening, so we can get to that and stay stay tuned on the social media for when we're releasing the Kickstarter, when we're launching the Kickstarter. We're actually going to do like a special episode of UHS Presents for that, because Ian is in England or the United Kingdom somewhere. I don't know. He's in that like Narnia, and it's different time zone. It's Katie's time zone, I think. And he can't stay up as late, and it's just kind of mean to ask him to do that, because last time he did, and he was super gracious about it, but also you could tell he was very much flagging. Oh, Twee's here, everybody. Twee's here. So so yeah, we're gonna do a special like Tuesday episode for that. I think that's all. So thanks to everybody who watched along with us, and thanks to everybody who's gonna watch in the future time. And I guess have a wonderful evening. And yeah, do you guys have anything else to add?
Nope.
I really have to work on these exits, don't I? I'm pretty good at introducing the stuff now, but I'm terrible at the exit-y stuff now. So gotten good at the one, got to get better at the other. So anyway, bye.
Bye.